So, in a nutshell, broken function level authorization, BFLA, is all about performing actions that you shouldn't be allowed to perform. For example, if you're not a moderator within a web application, you shouldn't be allowed to delete another user's posts if it's like a forum. Another example could be that you shouldn't be allowed to update the password of another user account. You should only be able to update your own password. So when we approach testing for BFLA vulnerabilities, there are a few common techniques that we need to try out. We can test different HTTP methods, for example, changing a GET request to a PUT request. We can also manipulate the parameters within the request so that the action we're trying to perform is attempted on a different object or within a different context. So every time we come across functionality where something can be added, changed, or deleted, we should be checking for BFLA vulnerabilities. So let's dive into a hands-on example. Now, I'm going to use VAPI for this, and this is because I want to give you a small challenge within the crappy application to find a BFLA vulnerability. A quick side note about the challenges before we dive in. For these smaller ones, it's up to you how long you spend on them, or even if you complete them at all. But keep in mind that you'll be developing knowledge and skills that you need for the mid-course capstone and the final capstone challenges, and also for future penetration tests and your future career. So my advice is take them seriously, give them a good try, and if you get stuck, don't worry, we'll go through it together later on. So here we're going to find and exploit some hidden admin functionality. Now, you might think to yourself as we're going through this, but how would I find this? Or, this is kind of a tricky example. Well, if we go back to our enumeration section and we think about how we map endpoints, how we do directory busting, how we do enumeration and discovery, coupled with potentially source code review and having a look at documentation if it's available, you should be able to find endpoints that maybe have been forgotten about or maybe just don't exist in the public documentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to imports and I'm just going to come to upload files, and then I'm going to come home, dev, VAPI, postman. And so wherever you put your VAPI installation, if you want to follow along, you're welcome to do this. And you want to import these two files, so VAPI postman collection and VAPI env postman environment. So I'll just open these, click import, and you'll see that it's created our collection here. And we're going to look at API number 5. So we have create user and get user. Now, if I come to the VAPI documentation, and I come to create user, we can see the documentation for this along with an example. So username, password, name, address, mobile number, and we should get a 200 back. And then when we get user, we should be able to post the user ID, as you can see here, and we should get a 200 back with the user information. So let's test this out. So let's come to create user, and looks like this is all set up and ready to go. If it doesn't like this variable, you can right click and set it to localhost, but in this case it's already set up and ready to go. And we click send, and we wanted to create test user 2, and we have test user and ABC and the mobile number, and the ID is number 3. So now if we come to get user and we test this, and it's going to pass in the current, it's automatically going to pass in the ID 3. So everything's nicely set up for us for testing. Of course, we could manually change this. And we get a successful response, and we have our test user 2, test user ABC 88888. So if I wanted to get a different user, for example, user 1, when I click send, I get false, username or password incorrect. So there is correct authorization put in place here to stop me accessing other users. Now, if I could access the other users, for example, ID number 1, this would probably be broken object level authorization. But what we're going to do is we're going to list all of the users and click send. And here we get a nice flag. If I move myself out the way. And you can see that we've listed all of the users within the application. So the couple that we've created and ID number 1, which is the admin user as well. So being able to grab all of the users is administrative functionality, and therefore we shouldn't be able to do or carry out this function, and this counts as broken function level authorization, also known as BFLA. All right, for the BFLA challenge, I wanted to point you in the right direction. So if we check out Postman here, we see we have some video functionality under the crappy Postman collection. So if we just scroll down, we can see that we have add new video, delete video by admin, re-add new video, etc., etc. Now, there is a short video test file that you can use that comes with Crappy. So if you just come into Crappy and cd into Postman collections, you'll see that you can use this car.mp4. So you don't need to go away and source your own video for this testing. So the challenge is try to add a video, then remove it, make sure the functionality works, and then do some testing across different users. So the challenge here is to see if you can remove the video of another user, so abusing that authorization that should be in place. Now, it's up to you if you use Burp Suite or Postman or any other tool. Personally, for most of my testing, I use Burp Suites. But as we've seen, different tools can help you out in different situations, and you might find that you settle more into Postman and it might work better with your workflow. So try them both, see what works for you, and keep an open mind when it comes to trying out new things. Once you've completed the challenge, I'll see you back here for the walkthrough.